Intuitive viewers, welcome, welcome. I am thrilled today to introduce to you someone you probably know. Maybe you know him, maybe you don't, but you will now. This is Dave Johnson. Hi, Dave.
Hello, everyone. Great to meet you.
Hello.
Great to meet you, Kim.
Now, and he is from moonride.com.au, right? He's a channeler, shamanic healer, teacher, a spiritual teacher. I guess you'd kind of classify yourself as kind of a shamanic or a spiritual teacher, and also has a YouTube channel with the same name, with Dave Johnson as the name. So welcome to the channel, Dave.
Thank you, Kim.
I'm so happy to talk to you. Now, I just want to kind of briefly go over your history because it's kind of fascinating. So you kind of, I guess in your childhood, it was kind of a regular childhood. And then high school, you had kind of an epiphany a little bit, something.
Yeah. Now I'm intrigued on how you know those details so well. I can't recall telling anyone that. So
I'm psychic. No.
Intuitive. Yeah, that's kind of.
No, I got it off your website.
That's kind of what happened. But one of the things, maybe just a few things happened when I was young. I encountered a poltergeist at some time when I was young, and I totally believed that was the person who was living in the house. She was young and had just very intense energy, but that was really the first.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That was really the first time where I said, maybe logic isn't everything. I couldn't figure out how these things moved across the room, and they really did. It was like the movie Poltergeist. It was that crazy. Again, I always look back, and she was a person who had just really intense energy.
Right.
I don't think she was fooling me. I don't think none of that could have been faked.
Right.
So I don't know what was up with that, but there was that, and I kind of had epiphany in high school where it was a sort of, I did not know what Satori was, but I think I had that just sitting in a car. My brother was driving. It's very much a feeling like, hey, it's going to be okay. There's a reason for everything, even bad things. This is not like most epiphanies. You cannot explain it. You don't know you don't know how to tell somebody what it was like. And from there on, I kind of practiced a little bit of meditation totally on my own. Nobody trained me. I just started doing that. And then college, I studied a lot of mystical philosophies and really got started. But I would say the really, and the most intense portion came in Hungary. I was in the Peace Corps north of Budapest, and I was having a lot of trouble. I had trouble sleeping, trouble teaching. This is 1995. There were no school books, no internet, nothing. I had to come up with my lessons out of my head. I had to teach.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. And I was not sleeping very well. It was a lot of, it was just a lot of stress, although it was very interesting. And my friends took me to see the shaman, and it all became clear. It just went away. Even I was not able to speak Hungarian very well. I was 30 with a bunch of 22-year-olds, so I wasn't doing very well in comparison to that. But an amazing thing happened. I just sat with that shaman and I said, just stop translating. Just stop translating. And I understood what he was saying for the most part. And that was one of the things, but I'm telling you, this guy was so intense that I would just sit there and he would know what I was thinking. I walked in the room, he knew who I was. I walked in that room and he's like, yeah, I mean, he didn't say anything, but it was like I was communicating with him without speaking even. And that continued for many hours. And that was the thing that really opened it up to where I am now.
So that's fascinating. And what do you think? I mean, looking back, because sometimes when things happen, we just think, oh, it just happened that way. Looking back, what do you think? Why did it happen that way? Do you think it was a past life thing? Do you think it was just a soul connection thing? What was that? What drew you to Hungary? What drew you to that guy? What was it?
Well, again, Kim, you're totally intuitive. I'll tell you a funny thing that happened. I applied to the Peace Corps, and you apply and you say, hey, I'll go anywhere, or you say, I'll go to this region. You kind of give them an idea. One thing about the Peace Corps, if you're too specific, you probably won't get in because it's not going to be what you expected. You got to be really prepared and open-minded, it's going to be psychologically hard.
Right.
So I get a packet after a couple of months and says, hey, this is your assignment if you'll take it. Well, I had this packet that tells me all about Hungary. And that day, I had gone to the video shop, if you remember, video cassettes, VHS cassettes, and
Oh,
I
yes.
rented one from Tower Video. I didn't really look at the title because I'm the kind of person I just look for the Cannes Film Festival and then I grab it. I don't really like necessarily have time to read all that. So I went home and I got this packet and I look at the video and it's a Hungarian movie. I
Oh
had
my gosh.
never rented one in my entire life, right?
Oh my
Next day, I
gosh.
went to get a haircut on Market Street in San Francisco. Woman picks up the phone and she's speaking this crazy language. And she hangs up and she goes, have you ever heard the Hungarian language before?
Oh my gosh.
No, but I'm going there. So these things really did very much sync up.
Right.
It was, as my friend said, it's like so many coincidences happen to you, Dave. It's no longer a coincidence. I got there, and again, through a very random, very funny, very charming way, met these two marvelous people. And they're the ones that they were very open-minded, very interesting. Hungarians around Budapest, very, very interesting people. So very specific because nobody speaks their language. So it's really sort of, you can't compare it to another culture. And they're the ones who said, hey, Dave, we'll take you to the shaman. Now, I didn't know anything about shamanism. I knew absolutely nothing about it. And then when I met him, that was another thing that just made it very revelatory. I was not prepared for a revelation. I was just curious.
Interesting. That's fascinating. And so that's kind of, so shaman work or shamanistic work is what kind of started all of this for you. So where did and why is it called the Man on the Moon, Moonride? What is the moon to you? What does all that mean to you?
Well, so many good questions. Let's start with the moon. I was just watching YouTube, and I had a pretty difficult, at the Bay Area is like pretty difficult time making it, just financially,
Oh yeah.
impossible to get a doctor's appointment, for God's sakes. It was really tough.
Yeah.
I understand why America's in such crisis now, because it's really hard to be an American right now. And I was watching some Power of Positive Thinking stuff, Abraham Hicks, and it was really working. It really was like all of a sudden working. Now, I'd tried it before and it hadn't worked, but now it was just spinning. It was just going and going. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And then I started getting links to people like Linda G and Lena Rodriguez and Rosie and there's one other lady, and I hate to leave her out because she's so good, Kristen, right? And I saw them and I was like, wow, and I kept, even before them, I was like, you're going to channel. I kept kind of hearing that in my head. You're going to channel. This is your job. And I'd been practicing shamanism for 25 years, and I led groups in shamanic journeys. It was all for free. I think somebody gave me a few dollars once. It was all just for the sake of it. When I started watching these videos, and I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and test myself, just jump in. I talked to Lena Rodriguez and she's like, you got talent, kid, you keep going. And go. But the day I decided, I just said, okay, what's my name gonna be? Am I a psychic? Am I a channeler? What am I doing? And I recommend this, just had a pad of paper out and I just kept writing. Whatever came into my head, I kept writing. So Moonride, I just wrote all these things and one of them really stuck out. On that day when I kind of got the idea of Moonride, a couple of things had happened. One was I was doing a vision quest on Mount Shasta. And I had done the shamanic work before, but I never really just spoke directly to spirit and said, hey, I need your help. Well, I was on the top of the mountain and I needed some help. Something went wrong. I'd had an operation a couple of weeks beforehand, and in a vision quest, you don't eat. And my body was getting down to the cells where I had been gassed. And I was starting to gas myself and faint. And so,
my gosh.
So this is the first time I'm like, okay, spirit from above, I don't know who you are, but should I get up this mountain? And I got the clearest message, get off this mountain now. And I got off the mountain, I had a couple of eggs and everything was fine. But I was like, wow, this is like a direct communication going on here. The day I decided to channel, I sometimes go to these auctions, and it was just down the street, pretty cheap things. And I just bought a couple of planters. And when I bought these planters, there's some other junk that just came with it, just all in a box. So I did my video, I go get the box, I come back, and there is this little figure, which is a man holding a sort of a crystal, right? It's a totally cheesy thing, but it looked exactly like the man in the moon. It looked exactly like the fellow that I always picture. And it's almost
Oh,
like this is like
wow.
Gandalf. Now,
Uh-huh.
since that time, people have told me, and I kind of had a feeling that this is really like, it's almost like the moon is reflecting. This is
Uh-huh.
a sort of collective of spirit, a bunch of different spirits who maybe you can say reflect off of the moon. You might
Right.
even say, they say the moon is a chunk of the earth that got separated,
Hmm.
right? And that it's floating around. I often feel like that is sort of the divine feminine, and
Hmm.
that when we're reconnecting with the moon, we're reconnecting with a portion that we've lost.
Right.
Um, it's interesting that it's the man in the moon. People are like, well, moon's a feminine image. Man in the moon's a man. And I kind of feel like I am the man within, or at least reflecting the man within that feminine aspect. I think
Right.
men are totally capable of doing that.
Right.
And I think, you know, for me, it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
The feminine is not outside any of us, male or female. I do feel like there is some role for the masculine within the feminine. I
Hmm.
often notice that I totally support women going in their own right, doing their own thing together. I think groups of women on
Hmm.
their own are solving a lot of problems that need to be solved. But
Right.
I think there's also is a role for a man to come in and say, you know, I want to be kind, I want to be protective, I want to be helpful.
Hmm.
We can work in this co-equal way. How can I
Right.
help? I find women are really, really appreciative just to hear a man say, wow, I'm sorry that happened to you, or that was
Yeah.
really wrong, or how
Right.
can I help that?
Right.
Men don't have to be patronizing. They could
No.
be, they could just be part of the picture and say, how can I help?
Right. Right. Well, I think that's great. And I love the visuals of the moon. That's why, and I appreciate your kind of explaining what it kind of means to you, because I understand that. And there is and maybe that's why, is there is kind of a male feminine cohesiveness in that title, even though you say the man on the moon. I just, it's perfect. So yeah, I love that. Um, so, and the last thing I want to ask you, Dave, because I'm so curious about this. You're in your shamanic work, you do something where you do journeys with people, and you have them, you have them use their totem animals to kind of help them. What is that? What is a totem? What is that? What is a totem animal?
So I'm going to put this on my website. I'm just doing a good deal of writing.
Yeah, yeah,
Fairly soon it will be on, and I'm going to explain literally exactly. If you don't know a shaman, you can't meet one. This is how you
right,
do it. Because mostly I did it myself. I had a couple of
right,
people, like lights, like beacons, show up and help me with the right time, but mostly I did it myself. In a
right.
shamanic journey, it come up with a question. Could be any
Okay,
question. Should I study chemistry or should I
right,
study biology? Really practical questions about your life. And
right.
then you sort of call in your spirits. If you don't
Hmm.
know how to do this yet, it's pretty easy to learn. You just look at a couple of books. You can also, in the future, look at my website. You
Hmm.
go the four directions, you go below, you go above, you just kind of show respect. And in the beginning, you can't really make a mistake. And then in my meditation, or if I were leading a meditation, it's really nice with a group of people, right? Because it
Right.
creates marvelous community,
Yeah.
right? I highly recommend it. I would bring my kind of call my spirits, and then I would beat my drum such that people would walk through an entrance. Obviously, their eyes are closed. They
Hmm.
see an entrance, they go in, and they would meet their own power animal. So I don't know what it is, but
Right.
they would meet that animal, and then that animal would sort of take them on a tour to answer the question. So should I study biology or chemistry? Maybe the person will see, a teepee, a grandmother, a barking
Right.
dog,
Right.
right? And then you kind of go through this path. Then you sort of come back the same way. And afterwards, you talk about it either with one
Mhm.
person, or maybe you might even write it down if you're doing it alone. It's marvelous with other people because people will have great perspectives on the answer. It'll be like, oh,
Exactly.
that's what that means. Oh, of course the grandmother means that. Of course.
Right.
It usually isn't finished. It's a month later that you'll still be getting like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, Maybe one example would be I had a kayaking injury,
Uh-huh.
10 years. I've had this problem. And I did this, okay, what can I do about it? I do my meditation and I see the seal. The seal's floating around the seal. And I'm like, well, what the heck's that about? What does that mean, a seal? How useful is that? I go to the doctor the next day, and the doctor says, Dave, don't swim like this. Swim like this for the next couple of months. So
Oh my gosh. Oh
it's
my
not
God.
outside medicine. It's not outside other information. But when
Right.
you bring in this, it's almost like intuition will really just add and sort of get you to trust yourself,
Right.
right? I'll tell you one interesting thing. Often people have exactly the animal they're expecting, or the
Uh-huh.
opposite. They'll get the complete
Oh.
animal they're not expecting. I
Uh-huh.
There's a certain power and energy in your portion of yourself that you don't know. So
Right.
people will be like, a skunk, Dave? Really? A skunk? I'll just be like, hey, don't knock it. What's the magic of that skunk?
Right.
Right?
Right.
What does the skunk do? Well, skunks got to roll, and this is a portion you're denying of yourself because you think it's
Right.
stinky. Maybe. So I've used this for many, many years with all sorts of problems, physical problems, problems in my life. I used to work as a software recruiter, and my boss could never figure it out. He's like, I would find people and I would find jobs and put them together.
Oh, right.
Really hard to do, because you've got these arrogant engineers in 1999 who are like, I could take a job. Oh, I don't understand. And boss would always be surprised. How come you always know who will take the job? And I would
Oh
sometimes
my
walk in and
gosh.
I'd say, he took the job, but he's not going to show up. And my boss would be like, what's the matter with you? Just go ring the bell. You just made 10. What's the matter with you? And I would always be right, because I would
Right.
always do my shamanic work, and I could always tell if they were going to take the
What
job
was
or
going to
not.
happen?
So it was really useful. I almost quit the job on the first day, but I did read tarot cards. So I couldn't go to sleep
Right.
after the first day, and I did that, and it said, no, 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 do this job, do this job, do this job. And the tarot cards gave me probably the best reading I ever had, saying, stay there. And
Wow.
I did do that, and paid off all my student loans
Yeah.
in the good old days of Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Right. I know, right? That's the thing. Yeah. You can pay him off then.
Yes,
That's good.
exactly.
So that tells me so much, because when you do your readings, when you watch you on your channel, um, you're painting a picture. I mean, you see all the visuals, and you're painting this picture, and you're painting a picture for the viewer because they can see exactly what you're saying. And you're also, what I really like watching is how you interpret at the same time. You're doing both. So,
Mhm.
and so how you do the journey, that makes so much sense to me as to how you read the way you read. So that's great to know. But so um, kind of about the what kind of brought us both into this, which was Trump.
Yeah.
Um, whoops. Okay, just can you still see me, because my
I
internet is
can.
unstable?
You
Okay.
froze there for a minute, but you're good
Okay.
now.
Was Trump. So he that shall not be, or who shall not be named.
Yes.
Hang on one second.
That's okay.
Okay. Just have to, once in a while, my internet will bump me off for some reason. Okay. So we both kind of got into this because of Trump. And that kind of led our readings in a specific direction, because everybody was so And it was, I think you got the same message that I did. We got the same message that everything was going to be okay.
Yes.
I kept getting the message, Trump would be gone and America would survive. That was the consistent message. Um,
Exactly.
I didn't know how wackadoodle it would get, but that was the message I kept
Yeah.
consistently getting.
Uh,
And I get a lot of TV and movie things. So I kept getting Donald Trump as King Kong at the end of King Kong when he's hanging off the Empire State Building and he falls. And I'm like, there's going to be a giant fall and this guy's going to go. And yeah, so that's what, but I said he'll go down fighting and angry and all of these things because I could see the image, but that's what I saw. So I'm like, I'm sticking to that. I know that's what's going to happen. And then I said, I'll do these little predictions along the way. So you know that what I'm telling, the big prediction is true. So
right.
I'm gonna give you this proof along the way, so you know that what I'm telling you is true, and you can relax and just be strong and get through it. But we've both been kind of talking about the fact that because of that angst and that worry and that nervousness all around Trump and the drama of
Yeah.
Trump, that it's we're both kind of going through a disconnect with Trump now and trying to kind of ease our channels away from him. And it's been hard. It's been hard. It's been hard for um, people keep asking me about him, which is fine, but they keep asking because they're still worried. They're still nervous. They're afraid to take their eye off the ball is what I feel like. I feel like they're afraid to turn away because there he'll be, in your face again before you know it. So, so how are you dealing with that? And how, can you kind of gauge where people are at this point? Do you feel they're starting to kind of start to turn away, pull away, or do you feel like they're still kind of in the grips in a lot of ways?
A really great question. First of all, I'm going to reflect back to you. Yeah, the trajectory of why I did it was exactly the same as yours.
Right.
When I did every single video, I was just trying to let people know, this is going to pass. We're learning something. All right. And I really want to emphasize, what are we learning as souls? Right. That is the most important thing about what's going on. In all times, there are bad politics to some greater or lesser degree. How can we as humans exist in reflection to that and still be our best? Right. So maybe that is a good introduction to where I'm bringing and trying to bring people, just as you are, sort of away from, let's not obsess about every movement that he does. We can still keep our eye on the ball. We can still act politically. We can still be responsible and caring and loving of others and have our own lives and move forward. I don't think everybody needs to become a spiritual teacher. Maybe that's not the goal of everybody's life. Maybe it's just to be in good relationships with your family, right? I do a quantum healing now, which involves going through past lives. And as I
Oh,
do
wow.
this and I notice this, it's, there are really, at the end of your life or even after, when you're sort of in the space of going before the universe and saying, this is what I did to my life, often the things that are really important are just, hey, you could have been a better spouse, or you did this really, really well, but you might have been a little bit more open-minded. It's never ever going to be 100% bad, 100% good. We might think there's a few exceptions to that, but right now, the more people can just do spirituality, even if it's just yourself, I think that is really radical. It's really useful. It's really important for the universe. You and I had never met before. Here we have totally the same trajectory. I
Uh-huh.
feel it's like a million little points of light out there.
Right.
And we're starting to meet each other. That to me is beautiful. And I think that's what's going to save this planet. One thing that I notice in my work with my clients is, it's the most important thing is to help one person at a time, right?
Right.
If you can get this person to understand their, why these things are happening and get some perspective on it, if you can be sympathetic and just listen to them and really help them move forward, they're going to do that for the next person and the next person and the next person. And that's how we we change the, planet, I think. This is not an easy task. You and I are both teaching, and I
Right.
think most of that is for that reason, is that it's just building a greater, bigger core of light workers that are going to connect and really, I think, on a conscious, unconscious, on a visible or not visible level, we're
Mhm.
really going to change this planet.
I think you're right. And I think, that was one thing that came in, that this didn't come in right away, but um, it was around, let me think when it was. I think it was around January before COVID hit. It was, when it was? It was during the fires in the rainforest fires. It was during that, and I got a clear message that there was going to be, we're going to have a lot of people leaving the earth in groups, and a lot of animals leaving the earth in groups. And didn't know that was going to be COVID. At the time I didn't know what it was going to be, but I shared the message. And I also have found, and I'm sure you have, that spirit never scares you. They never freak you out. They never, they always deliver things in such like, this is what's happening. It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah,
This is our learning school, right? So it's all good. It's going to teach us something, and we're going to get somewhere. But when that message came in, it was also, there's a shift going on. There's a vibration movement upwards, and we're all going to kind of be part of it. And I think you're right. I think all of this connecting, realizing we're all connected. I mean, if COVID didn't teach us that we are all worldwide so closely connected. Look how quickly that thing took hold. That's
yeah.
how connected we are. It's, I just think, that was a huge lesson itself, but you're right. It's all of these points of light, these little connections that can make such a big impact. And I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. It's all about that. It's all about everybody kind of connecting and also lifting each other up.
Mhm.
The I've and maybe you've gotten this message before, but I always get the message that the Earth is the most difficult planet to come to.
Oh
The
my God.
bravest souls come to Earth, and so yeah.
I literally talked about that yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so we're on the same page.
That literally word for word came to me yesterday. So
Oh my gosh. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so yeah. So that we're in a place now where we're all kind of connecting to help each other, to lift each other up, to get us into what's coming next. What is coming next. Whatever it is. But that's fascinating. So there's a reason we're talking, Dave. So
it's just not no coincidence. A lot of people who do quantum healing, and I was just watching an episode by Dolores Cannon. A lot of, she's one person that has said those exact words. The Earth is the hardest planet. It's just really hard to be. And let's just, look at our lives, and they're pretty difficult. You
yeah,
have a lot of things going on. I mean, one of them is just the basic survival. And if we could also see that with this big change, there's going to be resistance. There's a
right,
bunch of people who do not want to give up this old world. They don't want to give
right,
up their power and money and whatever. They
right,
are going to resist. And so a lot of the fighting you see is really part and parcel of, that movement forward.
right,
And unfortunately, that particular place can't be simple because it involves humans. It's not going to be kind of friendly and not scary, that portion, because it is
right,
human. But
right,
I do believe, I always want to let people know, if you can put a little perspective, as you have done, on what's really going on, it'll really help. If you're just
right,
raged and so upset in the middle of it, it's hard to be optimistic. But if you could take a
right,
step back and say, what are Kim and I doing here? Like, why are we here? Why are we observing? One thing is the emergence of technology, which means
right,
you and I can talk right now. It's wonderful. It also means that there are these crazy conspiracy theories.
right,
And that's the real danger right now, is
right,
that people literally believe complete untruths. And you and I could argue into a blue in the face, but those people have chosen to believe in untruths.
Right.
We're not going to change anybody's mind. So,
Right.
going like, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to learn everything. I'm going to change their minds. You're just harming yourself while you
Right.
can sit in your truth. And I'm the worst offender, okay? While you can sit in this truth, it's really like at some point you got to turn it down and go, what could I do today that's going to help me evolve, that's going to put me in better relationships with others. And one thing is, we are making a new community here.
Right.
You and I would not know each other without technology. So
That's right.
these are the positives. And we do have to do our best to kind of do both, keep our eye on situations and vote and all those things, but also to do the positive thing today, do the kind thing today, just because, do the right thing, say no at the right time.
Right.
And I'll tell y'all, whatever you do, don't tell me you are too old. Oh, I'm getting this spiritual awakening, but I'm 82. What do I have to offer? I have that so often. And every single time I'm like, look, take advantage of your 80-year-old self. Okay. You and nobody's going to argue with you. You go out and you just make your life. I don't care how old you are. This is a renaissance and you're part of it.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. I've used that exact word too, because I think there is something, somebody wrote me and said, because I had talked about, I felt like there was going to be kind of an explosion of, once COVID is kind of passed, there's going to be kind of an explosion of like art and music and a lot of things coming up, because we're going to need it. We're going to need the healing of it. So we're going to be seeking it out and looking for it, and stuff like this, and spirituality and new spiritual paths and that kind of thing. And you're right. It's a renaissance. And somebody pointed out to me, that's exactly how the Renaissance was. It came out of the Dark Ages, and that's where, and I'm like, that's exactly what we're kind of watching again. And you're right, when you talk about an evolution, I keep reminding people that we're evolving no matter what these people want to believe or how stuck in their ways they are. You can't stop evolution. You can't stop it. We're going to evolve sooner or later. We're all doing it, so they can fight it and be this way and do whatever, but that's all they're doing. They're just fighting it. We're moving in a direction, and some of us are moving faster than others, or in flow more than others, but they're still going. They will get there. They will get there. It's we're all in different stages of growth, and we're all here together. I think partly too, to be people that are at one stage of growth are an example to the people that are at the other stage of growth. If they see people, you look so peaceful, you look so happy, you look so, things, are, you're never in a bad mood. What are you doing? Why is that? I used to have people at work be like, why are you so calm? Why are you always so, and I would share with them, but that's how this stuff happens, is you can, there's a lot of ways to reach people, right? One is by the channel, one is, talking to each other, connecting, being nice at the grocery store, being pleasant to people. There's a lot of ways to show people the way,
Yes. Yeah. The generosity of spirit is sort of what you've been speaking of. And I do think that is really important. There's certainly times where we're going to have to say no to people. And we're certainly people that we need to have out of our lives or have some distance between us, because they're just going to make us crazy. So right. I don't want to imply that you have to be nice to everybody. There are some situations where you absolutely got to say no and get toxic people out of your lives as much as possible. But there's also you and I being, and everyone being magnanimous and, making the apology when it's due. They're forgiving people when it's appropriate, because I don't think everybody should or can be forgiven. But there are these just daily life. I mean, I think everybody can resonate with the idea that if I go out today and I do something nice for a person, even a person that I don't know, that really will come back to me. I used to volunteer, and when I would do it, I would get this feeling as I walked out the door. I'd completely missed my dinner. It was pouring rain. I had to ride my bike home. But I cannot express how happy I was. These marvelous people would be so grateful. And I was like literally skipping out the door on an empty stomach. there is something very rewarding about it. Although we have these, very dark forces going on, I
Mhm.
can meet somebody like you, and it's all of a sudden like, oh my God, I'm home. In a way, it does tell us the difference. In a way, it's letting us know who we could be friends with, right?
Right,
And who we
right.
would trust and like. In a way, this
Mhm.
is coloring things very, very much for us. I always think too that this is recreating a community. Even while people are stuck at home, they can't leave the house, here's this community. And it is a
Right.
community that I think that you can tap into, all YouTube. But there
Mhm.
is a community out there. There are people out there in your small town who are starting to think the way that you do.
Yep,
And if there's a
yep.
way you can connect with them, then you're going to recreate these communities, because let's face it, they have been destroyed in our modern age. We
Right.
do not have central places where we could go,
Mhm.
and just have a community. If we lived in a community, then the disabled guy down the street, people would always take care of him because we would know that
Mhm.
person. And now we're just a very fractured society, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. I think that's true, and I think you're right. I think technology has been, well, it's been the saving grace, right? During COVID, it's been kind of everybody's kind of a lot of people's lifeline, people's education, people's work. It's really been a lifesaver. But I think you're right. There is that there you can also find that community as well, and I'm sure you feel the same way about the community that your channel has built up. It's a safe place for people. They feel safe talking about these things, and they feel like people don't think I'm weird, people don't think I'm crazy. They accept me and what I'm saying, and it's lovely. It's really is lovely. It really is.
Well,
um
and
yeah.
I gotta say, like, look at this marvelous world that we are also creating. At the same time, these horrors are going.
Hmm.
I have a new job. I've always wanted this job. People like you and I can, 50 years ago, we put in the loony bin for talking about the things that we are talking about.
Right. Hmm.
This really is an evolution in consciousness. I
Yeah.
believe also, I always like to say divine feminine, because I do believe it's more heartfelt.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
always tell my clients, when you're going in to do this work, if you're encountering something that makes you at all fearful, no, that is not spirit,
Right.
right? Move past it, resage, do whatever you want. But
Right.
it's just like when you meet someone and you instantly like them.
Hmm.
It's a heart thing. You can
Yeah.
feel it. And this ability, we've really been denied for many
Right.
years.
Right.
We learn logic in school, we learn math, but you don't learn logic of the heart.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I wish it was part of the, maybe it will be. I mean, maybe it will be, I think we're definitely going to have to, talk about the way we, teach kids empathy and that kind of thing. We have to start, dealing with some of these things, especially in the States where we're dealing with a lot of racism and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You need to build up that understanding of other people and their lives and being able to be
Mhm.
accepting. So absolutely. But so Dave, do you want to, before we end our conversation here, do you want to read on something I think people are really nervous about in the United States about the Voting Rights Act?
Yeah.
Whether we're going to get anything like that passed at all. I think they're
Uh-huh.
really worried about it. So do you want to
Yeah.
read on
Great.
that with me and see what we come up with?
All right. Shall I
Okay.
go first? Or do we do it
Please,
together?
please do. No, go right
Okay.
ahead.
Let me see what I'm seeing. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's not surprising, but I do see Joe Manchin, right? He is the key, right? That's the first thing I get. And he's pacing. It doesn't seem like he is totally satisfied. He's already said, I'm not going to do the filibuster. I'm not going to change that. But interestingly enough, I see him and he's pacing. It's you know what? It's funny too. He's on a balcony as if he's in a very large theater. So
Mhm.
he's pacing back and forth on this balcony. And I just get the feeling like he's watching and he's waiting to make a move. So I don't think that we've heard the last on the filibuster right now. Spirit, what about the Voting Rights Act? Okay. So, yeah. Okay, I'm getting one image. which is sort of a line going down. But spirit, I'm not certain what that means. Oh, okay. Now it's rolling up like a piece of paper. Oh, and they're gonna roll it out again. Right. Okay. So look, this for the People Act to protect. I think they are going to rewrite it. The one that stands isn't going to go through, but another one will. And I know I have really strong feelings about Joe Manchin kind of getting in the way here, but this makes me feel a little bit more satisfied.
Right.
I see Biden signing it. Something will come out to protect the rights. I'm thinking right now.
That's great. It's something very similar. I'm scribbling on a pad. I just scribbled just to kind of get in a meditative state. So just so you know what I'm doing. I'm not automatic writing, but basically the same thing, that it's going to be, I always see it attached to something. I don't know if they're going to attach it to another bill or attach it to something, or it's going to come in two parts attached together. There's something about attaching it. And I also feel like when you said that Joe Manchin was on the balcony, my guide said he loves the limelight. So there's something about him being on the balcony. I'm like, oh yes, that's him. I love that kind of, that I'm the center of everything kind of thing. So anyway, that's what I got when you said that. But I do feel like I feel like you're right. I feel like it's going to be rolled out again, attached to something or in two pieces. But I also feel like I just feel strongly we're gonna keep our democracy. Don't worry about that.
Yes.
It's going to be push and pull, that kind of stuff. It's going to be kind of messy because democracy is messy, but we're going to keep it. Don't worry about that. Don't go there. Basically, don't go there. This is a fight, and it's scary because these things are important, and they're messing with the vote, and that's democracy. So we need to, but we'll do the right thing. And I'm getting something very similar to what you got. So yeah, I think we can pretty safely assume, hopefully, that we'll get it passed soon.
Well, I strongly feel, and this is just on a rational level, if we were going to lose our democracy, we would have lost it January 6th.
Yeah.
Right. I think we would be in some serious trouble had he succeeded. I still don't think we would have lost the democracy. I think there would have been, blood spilled. But if he didn't, people were worried that the former guy will show up again. Look, I mean, if he didn't make it then, how is he going to make it now? The momentum is lost.
That's it. And I think you're exactly right, that if we were looking at this as a story, that was the climax of the story. And now it's just, it's still got some things to untangle, but we're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, I do. I am hopeful. Yeah. And again, I just want everybody to realize and take a step back.
Right.
Look at what incredible people like him are doing right now. How they are showing up and delivering such great information for people. Look at how you and I are, and everybody are really changing their lives for the better.
Right.
That's the positive side, right, of what's going on.
Exactly. Absolutely. Thank you, Dave, so much for coming on the channel. It's been a pleasure. You're a delight. And hopefully we'll chat again.
I look forward to that.
Me too. And so we'll see you guys later. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Bye.